Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 14 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this one to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune for the brand new episodes coming over on Anime King and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And like, subscribe, turn on that bell notification, stay posted, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode start, the intro. So, the last part we left off, Sawaki told Naruto about her family and how long it took them to reproduce. As seeing the kids, especially when they went to the orphanage, her motherly instinct inside her just boom. As Naruto remembers Sawaki's mother, she was very nice and friendly, as she always chose to take care of all of the kids. And it was same thing with Sawaki, as she told Naruto she would allow him to sleep with other ladies. Yes, because she wanted to make sure he had a child, and she wants child as well, even though it might not be hers. Well, as long as she get to join in as well. As Naruto couldn't believe it, as they spent a couple of hours in the room, as they made their way to the Kazekage. After that was over, Zetsu was spying on the meeting, so they play him for a fool as they made their way out in the desert as Zetsu followed. As Naruto then activate his white lightning, his spirit rocket out of his body with tremendous speed, and Zetsu was no match for him. He obliterated Zetsu with lightning from the heavens, turning the sandy ground into glass. As he made sure to check if the thing was dead, as he incinerated his body. With that, they made their way off. Sasori came towards the hidden sand along with Obito under his mask, going by the alias Tobi. As Nagato had warned Zetsu, all of them, Nagato told them to do not go after the ghosts. Do not go after Naruto. But yet still Zetsu didn't listen. And now he was dead. As Obito really thought that he had a chance against Naruto. After all, he said to himself Naruto has never faced a Uchiha before. Meanwhile that was going on, the group made their way. As the 5-tail Jinjuriki was crushing skulls and slaughtering members. As the war was going on, Sawaki injected him with her blood, and she made her way. She got contacted by the 5-tailed Gobi, who wanted to go back to the Dark Forest. Unknown to them, the Dark Forest was where the Jobe split up, and that darkness, it came from the Jobe. And the Gobi just wanted to go back there, as Naruto was quite surprised by that, but he agreed. So when they let Han loose in the village, as the Gobi broke out of the seal, it released a massive steam that covered over the entire place. Mass death and chaos. Oniki had to lock down the borders. As the Gobi came back, Kushina placed a seal on Naruto and on the Gobi as well, as it could summon Naruto and Naruto could summon it. In dire situations and circumstances, it ended up shrinking so it could be in the forest, as the horse was just running around, as he seemed to really enjoy this place. Months passed as Minato came back towards the village as he saw Tazumi. As he told her later, he saw none of his other friends, though no one else was there. As he went to give his report, Minato went to a bar right after as he started to drink, trying to wash away all of his sorrows, as his apartment was destroyed, as they told him that it was an attack from Kumo. And given that the Hokage sent him on this mission without any pay, he was broke, as Tazumi told him that he could stay over with her at her place. As he asked about Mikoto, his heart shattered when Tazumi told him that she got married to Fukaku, as those letters, he never sent them. As he had them, but he never sent them to her. And now she was married. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought you guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So it's the beginning soon episode. Tazumi sleepily got out of her bedroom as she yawned and rubbed her eyes. She was in an oversized button-up shirt with black underwear and a green flip-flop. As she smelled eggs, toast, and bacon. The blonde man in the kitchen turned around towards her as he put the bacon on the plate. She sat down as she noticed that Orochimaru was scarfing down his own plate of bacon in the corner, as Tazumi was staying in a guest house until the Inazaka compound was rebuilt. It was a one-bedroom apartment, as they had to share a futon. He had insisted that he sleep on the ground. After all, months away from the village, he had gotten accustomed to it, but Tazumi had none of it. Morning, she said, as she picked and tossed the bacon in her mouth. How did you sleep? Asked Minato. Like a baby, she said. You're predictably warm, she said, as she chewed on the bacon. You know, Minato, she said, I'm surprised you didn't try anything last night. I had a lot on my mind, said Minato, as she laughed a bit. If you wanted to cuddle, you could have just asked. It's really bad to get an Inazaka woman hope up, you know. Minato breathed out a quiet laugh. Yeah, I know, he said. She grinned. Well, later today, I'm going to reintroduce you to the touch of a real woman, she said. He raised an eyebrow. How do you know I haven't slept with any Kunoichi station at Hidden Chill? Because you haven't, she said. Fair enough, he said. After 10 long months, I hope you have the stamina to take me, she said as she bit at her bacon. I'm sure I'll manage somehow, he said as he slipped a plate of toast to her. You weren't this ready yesterday, he said. Well, yesterday, I was suppressing everything down because I thought it was going to happen last night. But today I'm twice as much, she said, as he raised the eyebrow in a teasing tone. Are you sure you're not the one that destroyed my apartment building? There seemed to be some scheme to get in my pants. She chuckled. You know, Mikoto talk a lot, especially when she's drunk. She said that you have skills. I believe that Uncle will be coming around later, but I got first dibs. She noticed a flash in his eyes. Sadness. As he poured hot water into the mugs for their tea. Something wrong, she asked. Oh, nothing, he said. You know, if you're thinking, if I only invite you over here to sleep with you. Honestly, I want to help wherever I can. I swear. I don't doubt that, he said. And thank you for helping me, he said. You're welcome, she said. I was thinking, since you don't have any cash, we asked for a big rank mission. If you're up for it, we can use the money to get you some new clothes. Can I push that to tomorrow, he asked as he chewed on some bacon. There's someone in the village that I want to talk to. Who? Don't worry about it, he said. How are the eggs? I haven't made eggs in months, so I think they're a bit runny, dude. As she bit into the eggs and bacon sandwich that she created. They're awesome, she said, as she realized he was wearing his headband and his Jonin vest was open. You're heading out now? Yeah. Hey, want me to spot you? No, I'm fine, Tazumi. Thank you, he said. Well, you know where I keep the house key, right? Yeah, he said, as she got off her feet and walked up to him, as she kissed him right on the cheek. Have fun. Surprised by the sudden direct action, all he could do was awkwardly nod his head. I will. I'll be going now. See you later, she said, as he opened the apartment door and stepped out. The smile instantly vanished from his face, showing hollow eyes that didn't seem to be looking at anything in particular, just completely empty. As he made his way, he ignored the villagers, sending greetings away, as his mind was just focused. As he thought back to Tazumi, for all he knew, she could be involved in this whole manipulation scheme, having none of his friends come to welcome him, having no money, being homeless on the street, only for she to welcome him in her house, and to gain his trust. The Hokage might have been the one to send her to him, the most unlikely friend, to strike at the foundations even more. His friends all getting married, but they could have at least left a letter for him. He would have understand. Those were his friends he knew. He had known them since the academy, and even as someone who was unfeeling as Hayashi or harsh as Fukaku would have done something to welcome him back, as the thing had been broadcast in the village 2 months before they returned, so everyone knew it wasn't a secret. Some noticed that being nice. He squashed down the part of his mind that tell him that he was being selfish. All of his life, he put everyone before himself. He had disregarded his own personal health. Time and time again for his friends especially. And they all knew this. They knew how much he had done for them. He never helped them because he wanted anything. He only helped them because they were his friends and they needed help. And that was just the person that he was. A letter would have been nice. His eyes became frosty and cold. The people moved out of his way as he made his way towards his destination. Minato, of all people, knew this. She knew how much he treasured his friends. One letter. He tried not to let his mind go down that path. That path of where his body and his mind was completely breaking. Did they even think about him? While he was dying in Frost Country. Did they even concern themselves with his health? Wasn't. He allowed to be selfish for feeling this way. As he made his way, as he turned down the alley, nothing but red bricks. As he searched the wall for a moment, he closed his eyes and placed his right palm on the wall. He frowned a hum as he took his hand off the wall. Orochimaru was in there. Naruto was right when he said that Minato was a touch sensor. He could sense anyone for miles around as long as he had his hands and feet on the ground. As long as the person was on the ground, their body somehow they were touching the ground, he could sense them. Chakra suppression seals, or illusionary seals, did not block his sensor ability. It only slowed it a bit. So that is why he knew Orochimaru was there. No one else had that same reptilian, dark, disgusting type of chakra. His eyes roamed over everywhere as he found what he was looking for. A doorknob, invisible to the untrained eye. As he turned it, it was locked. Well, that was a must. As he retrieved his lock-picking kit from his back pocket. As he picked at the lock, his free hand then went back into his back pocket. As he brought out his brush. As he disabled the detection and alarm seal inside the building. He was alone. There wasn't any ninja following him. Good. As he closed the door after himself after he entered, the place was dark. As his eyes looked around, despite the darkness, the walls were painted all white. There was no features at all around. The only thing he could see was a door on the other side. A grey-haired boy with glasses rushed out the white door. His hands out, his eyes frantic. "You can't be here!" Minato shoved the young teen aside and walked past him. "Sir!" Minato pushed open the other door and came in at the sight in front of him. It was a lab, apparently. Beakers, test tubes, valves, powders, gas. With a dead body in the center of the room on an operating table, strapped down by the person's neck and hands and legs. The person's stomach was wide open. His large intestines was missing. One thing was for certain, all of this was illegal. As the Sani that he was looking for was on the other side of the table. A light blue apron, white gloves, and a medical ninja mask. A 3-pronged kunai fell from his wrist as he caught it, as he placed it behind him, right at the grey-haired boy's throat. The boy was holding on to a baseball bat. "Don't even think about it," he said, his eyes still on Orochimaru. The boy did not drop the bat. He just held it tighter. Orochimaru exhaled. "Stand down, Kabuto." As he took a step back and pulled off his gloves, as he took off his bloody apron and tossed it in a bin. As he made his way as he washed his hand at a sink, Kabuto stepped back as the kunai poofed away into the seal on Minato's wrist. "I suspect," said Orochimaru as he scrubbed his hand, "that he will simply flash away if I attack." "That I will," said Minato. Orochimaru simply chuckled. "It seems I'm at your mercy," he said, as he finished washing his hands. "Yes, you are," said Minato. Orochimaru then turned. "Dispose of the body on the table," he said. "Yes, Lord Orochimaru," said Kabuto. "Let's take this to the other room, shall we?" Minato walked back into the other room, never taking his eyes off a dangerous reptile for not even a second. Orochimaru chuckled. "For the great yellow flash to fear me like this, I have to say, I'm honored. Now, why is a student of my former teammate looking for me? I have some questions for you. I take it that your questions have nothing to do with what you just saw," Orochimaru said. "Depending on how honestly you answer them, I'm willing to forget what I just saw." Orochimaru seemed surprised by Minato's answer. "That's..." As he tilted his head to the side. "Very suspicious. Very much unlike you, Minato." "Not so, Konoha after all." He said. "People change, Orochimaru," said Minato. "Pray tell, is it chill that changed you, or is it because you were abandoned by your so-called friends?" Minato didn't want to ask how he knew this. "You're not in the position of asking the questions." "Alright then," Orochimaru said, with a smirk. "Remember, I keep my mouth shut about that, and you don't lie to me." "Sounds fair," Orochimaru said, as Minato pulled out a scroll as he unsealed a book, as he placed the scroll back away. General questions he went with first. What's your name? Orochimaru. Full name. Orochimaru's the only name I've had. Where are you from? Konoha. Rank? Unrank, as of last week. Unrank? Said Minato. The Sanins are now unrank. It's an honor higher than Jonin apparently. Sir Tobi Sensei said it is a reward for our efforts in the war. We also have more freedom and less need to take more missions. What are the names of your teammates? Former teammates, Orochimaru said, and their names are Tsunade Senju and Jiraiya. And in case you're wondering, yes, Jiraiya is also the only name he has. I'm aware. Orochimaru chuckled. I'm just trying to be helpful. What's the name of your former teacher? Hiruzen, Sir Tobi, current Hokage of Konoha. Now, on to the real questions. Have you ever had a student? Orochimaru laughed. Oh, I see. Yes, I've had a student before. Before this one, he said, pointing a thumb over to where Kabuto was in the other room. What is his name? And is he still alive? His name is Naruto Komori. But I only found out about his last name 15 years ago. He doesn't go by Komori much, mostly uses Naruto. And as far as I know, yes, he's alive. When did you last see him? 15 years ago if I'm not mistaken. How old was he when you stopped teaching him? He was 11, maybe 12. Why did you stop teaching him? Orochimaru shrugged. I had better things to do, like win a war, he said. Why did you start to teach him? Minato asked. Well, it was a competition between Jiraiya and I. I can train better than you and all that. He had 3 students and I had 1, and I believe I won the contest. Do you bear any resentment to your student? Yes, I do. Why? He poisoned me. Why? Well, Tsunade and I were sent to darkness to convince the new leader to come over to Konoha, or they would risk an invasion or their demise. Naruto disagreed and wanted us to leave. I attacked him. Naruto's student had placed me in a dangerous situation along with Tsunade. Long story short, his killer intent poisoned me. Minato wrote down in his book. Right off the bat, Konoha wasn't looking so good. Orochimaru's right fist came up as he coughed into his hand, as he thumped his chest lightly. Did Naruto ever launch any attack against Konoha? No, he did not. And why did Konoha not follow through? Naruto isn't the ghost for nothing. Did you and Tsunade forget this when you threatened to destroy his country? Yes, I suppose we did. Alright, I'll be direct here. Is there a reason why Konoha hate darkness so much? Well, I personally don't care about the place. But he says he narrowed his eyes. I believe Konoha hate Dark Country because they believe at some point, since darkness had a Konoha-born daimyo, Konoha is entitled to a piece of Darkness Country. At some point in the Second Great Shinobi War, a weapon maker from the village had found a piece of obsidian metal that he used to craft into a blade, a katana for Tobirama Senju. When he stepped down, he gave the katana to Hiruzen. And Konoha wanted more of the powerful obsidian. Let's just say the village got really greedy. You see, Dark Country is very blessed. Strong, sturdy trees, silver mine, underground gems, rivers, lakes, mountains, hill, fresh soil, delicious food, and they reap bountiful harvests every year. Before Konoha arrived, is it true that there's refugee camps around Dark Country? Yes, it is true. How do you know? Hyuga scouts on the border reported them. The Kurama clan, were they brought here by force? Yes. Why? Why else? To make Konoha stronger. From what I know, they're not doing anything to make Konoha stronger, said Minato. Well, they're merely taking up space right now. We suspect that Naruto is sending them monthly funds to survive in the village, because Hiruzen is not giving them anything. What was the plan for them? Well, they were to become ninjas of the village, utilize their paint ninjutsu to create impressive paintings, sell them, and create profit for the village. So the Hokage truly believed if you remove people from their homes, they would do all of that without fail. Well, no one would have anticipated Naruto becoming leader of Darkness Country, and no one knew how he's giving money to them. The Kurama clan lived in their compound without a need for Konoha money or support. This was long before the clan of Painter became the new root. The idea was to make them desperate for help until they begged for it. How were they taken out of their homes in darkness? Well, the daimyo signed their clan over to Konoha, but they refused to leave. So ninjas from Konoha stole the clan head daughter and threatened to kill her if they did not relocate to Konoha. Wait, said Minato. You're telling me they were planning to kill the holder of Mania? Orochimaru nodded once. Did any of you know what would have happened if that girl died? I have a good imagination, Orochimaru said. The last report of Mania being released. Kiri was a part of the Elemental Nation, but now they were islands because Mania had destroyed everything. And the island had been separated and pushed off into the sea. Whose bright idea was that anyway? Asked Minato. Jiraiya's, said Orochimaru without hesitation. He knew that the Kurama clan couldn't physically touch a Mania holder, and that the clan could not stay further than 10 miles away from her. Sounds like something he would do. Well, it worked, Orochimaru said. When will Jiraiya be back? He is going to meet up with the Hokage in Kiri in 2 days for the 5 Kage Summit, so he should be back in a week or so. As he saw the look in Orochimaru's eyes, what's gonna happen in a week? The Hokage will pick his successor for a seat. One last question, Minato said. Is Naruto my biological father? Orochimaru weighed the truth and lie. The truth will be better. No. Who is? Said Minato as his fist clenched. Since you already know that he isn't your father, I'm guessing you already know. Who is my father? As a pen broke in his hand. Sakumo Hatake. Minato released the broken pen as he sealed the book back away. As he turned, hey, this whole operation stays secret. Yes, Minato said as he left the room. As Minato took permission to leave the country for the fire capital, Naruto, the leader of Dark, was leaving. He was preparing to leave his country. At the northern gate of darkness, Naruto was wearing his normal Jonin flap jacket, his forehead protector, as he stood with his councils and appointed guards. The council had their head bowed forward, as the 5 guards are on their knees, the other 5 keeping away the people so they wouldn't swarm him. As they got information that their leader was leaving, only 2 personal guards are allowed in the meeting hall. Naruto nodded to the 2 ninjas jogging towards him. Kisame and Kushina will follow me in, he said. The council bobbed their heads. Excellent decision, my lord, Nanako said. Will you still take your guard detail with you, Leader Naruto? The leader of the Panza Senji clan said. Yes, even though I think 8 guards, plus these 2, is still a bit excessive, said Naruto. One cannot be too safe in ensuring your safety, sir, said Makoto. Well, I appreciate you guys worrying, said Naruto. I might be getting old, but I can still defend myself. No sir, you're not getting old. Giku, the clan head and director of Shinobi Academy said. 39 for Shinobi is not that old. And as one as active as you are, I don't believe that will slow you down. In any case, the 8 guards will wait outside. And if anything were to happen, I'm sure Kushina and Kisame can handle it. Also, boss, are you sure you don't want us to arrange a carriage to take you to Snow Country? The road is pretty long, Azora, Kamuri clan head asked. No, I can run fine, he said. Azora was a new clan head, doing so after Orochimaru had passed away from old age 2 years ago, as Orochimaru was already training Azora how to lead the clan. He was discharged from BLAK as he became the clan head of the Kamuri clan, as no clan head was permitted to be an active or passive member of the country Black Ops. The 25-year-old man had a deep natural tan, golden blonde hair that was tied in a ponytail, and glimmering cerulean eyes. The blonde hair and blue eyes were the trademark of the Kamuri clan. Unlike Orochimaru, he wasn't that much of a hard ass, and he had taken to call Naruto boss. Azora also had a set of prosthetic legs from knees down. No one would guess. He was the same young man that Naruto had pointed out to Sasuke 15 years ago when training was happening, and he was doing wonderful leading his clan. As Naruto turned to Kisame, did you get my dry cleaning? He asked. Yes sir, as he presented 2 freshly ironed leather robes on hangers, as a hat was in his other hand. Thank you, said Naruto. A BLAK operative backed, took the robes and sealed them away. You'll probably pay for it yourself. I'll have Amara wire you some money. No, I insist, said Naruto, as he looked towards Amara, who nodded. I leave this country in your capable hands until I return, said Naruto to his council, as the 9 men and women nodded, as the level of trust that was bestowed upon them, as Naruto gave a small bow to them as well, before turning, as he waved over his shoulder. Later he said, his bodyguards rushed after him and the people sent him off, as he waved Kurono until they couldn't see him anymore. As Naruto made his way off, pause. I just want to say that Obito is 16 years old in this story. Zetsu introduced Obito, or Tobi in this case, to the Akatsuki, as he told Nagato and Konan that Madara's soul will transfer into a younger body. Zetsu has always been reliable, and he's also a vital part of the organization, so Nagato didn't question or care much, so long as Madara, or so he's called by only Nagato and Konan, pulls his own weight, as the others know him as Tobi. Alright, let's get back into it. Lord Naruto, as Naruto looked up from the book that he was reading, as he closed it shut. We're almost at this station. Ah, so it seems, he said. The group had been walking for some miles now, choosing to slow down once they crossed over hot water, and they were in the sheer territory of Hot Water Village and Snow Country, as he was just reading one of the few novels that he borrowed from the library, The Tale of the Gutsy Shinobi, as he sealed away the book on his wrist. The BLA operatives, who was concealing themselves, came around, as they marched behind their leader. Kisame and Kushina was in the middle, and Naruto was safely in between them as snow fell down from the sky. As Naruto glanced over his shoulder, breaking the silence. Hey Kushina, wanna make a bet? He asked. She raised eyebrows to the question. Sure, she said. What about you, Kisame? You seem like a betting man. Wanna join in? Kisame scratched the back of his head as he did a quick mental talk with his sentient blade, wondering if he should make a bet to the fastest man in the planet. Depends. What are we betting on? Kushina said. How many times we're going to be attacking Snow Country, said Naruto. The operatives all tensed a bit as Commander Bat's ears twitched. As she focused on what her leader was saying, he was almost tempted to ask his wife while she was on duty if she wanted to get in on the bet as well, as she didn't know why he wanted Kushina and Kisame to go with him. He never gave her a valid reason, but he always had a reason for something. Kushina flexed her fingers, ready for anything to happen. As Kisame felt the air, it became a bit tense. He laughed as he kept on walking a strive, just to make this journey more fun. Kushina cleared her throat. Well, how many times do you think you'll be attacked? We, Naruto corrected. And I'll say 2 times. What about you? He had this confidence about him despite what he was saying. She went along with it. I'll go for 3. Kisame? I'll go with Kushina. 3. Let's be clear, said Naruto. While we are in Snow Country borders, and while we're here for this mission, the duration of the 1 week, direct or indirect attacks is neat acts. While the other leaders might come at me with verbal attacks or indirect attacks, but that doesn't count. I mean direct attacks, including traps, suicide bombers, bandits, hired killers, bounty hunters, missing names, the leaders or the subordinates come themselves, stuff like that. As the Snow Daimyo was supposed to clear the way of any of those attacks. This was the first time that the wealth countries were meeting up, and this was going to be very beneficial and large. For that reason, Bat and her subordinates were bothered by the amount of detail in the bet. What about poisoning our foods? For that one, I or Bat are going to be the primary targets, and I doubt Bat is going to eat anything this country gives her. As her husband was right as Bat glanced towards him. She wouldn't touch a single food in Snow Country, but at some point, him and the other leaders have to dine together. You don't have to worry about me. I'm immune to poisons. Kisame nearly tripped over his own feet. How? It might be because of how long I fought Hanzo way back when. Or probably some other reason. Which is, Kushina asked. I'm wagering 5,000 Ryu, said Naruto. Kushina near the fall. 5,000? He glanced at two of them in a smirk. Shouldn't be too hard for you two, right? 5,000 Ryu of darkness money was a lot. It could afford a full weekend stay in the luxury beach resort of the Hidden Stand and a completely new seasonal wardrobe. The exchange of Naruto Ryu was very high, higher than any other country. Kiri and the Stand had adopted it in their own country. So at the 3 countries it was just called Ryu. In other countries they would call Darkness Ryu. Uzu was making headway in adopting the currency in their money. And the river was also setting up it as well. It was similar to what the Snow, Kumo and the Stone was doing, where they used only one currency, and that was the Snows. But to put it in perspective, Dark Country was more valuable than Fire Country Ryu. And Fire Country Ryu was the most common and most used. When you want to buy something and they said 100 Ryu, without giving a proper specifics, it was mostly Fire Country Ryu they were talking about, because Dark Country Ryu was a lot more. Naruto pushed his glasses up with a smirk. You're on, Uncle Naruto, said Kushina. May the best man win, Kisame said. I'm feeling lucky, said Naruto. As they continue walking, as they spot the train station, as they saw a young woman with an army of samurais. Kuyoki Kazahana, 20 years old, stood at the front of the train station, long black flowing hair with two bangs inside of her face, a blue and white kimono with snowy wing designs on it. Her eyes rapidly watched a group of people that was approaching their country, keeping track of the ninjas that she had been assigned by her uncle to escort into the country. As she looked over the 8 animal masked shinobis on the outside, before looking towards the 3 on the inside, the large man, blue skin and gills on his neck, as she could feel the amount of malice, but it was suppressed, coming from this man, and the bundle on his back. The both of them felt bloodthirsty, and the redhead that was around her age, with dark purple lipstick and purple eyes. Kuyoki had read about both of them in the bingo book. The Red Reaper, Kushina Uzumaki, and the sea monster of Dark Country, Kisame Hashigaki. The last person she looked at was one of the most feared, most respected, and most dreaded person on the planet, the ghost, Naruto. Also known as the leader of Dark Country. His hair was tucked under his white hat. There was a half mask over his face. He was wearing a white robe. If he turned, she would see the kanji for darkness on the back of his white robe, just like how the darkness kanji was on his hat. His eyes looked calm and soft. There was also a warmth that came from him that soothed her nerves and soothed her murdering rage against her uncle. His eyes reminded her of her father. The prototype armor chakra ninjas behind her all saluted. The BLAK ninjas parted as Naruto stepped forward towards the woman, as Kuyoki bowed forward with her eyes respectively looking down. Lord Naruto of Dark Country, my name is Kuyoki Kazahana, and I was sent here by Lord Doton to escort you into the country. Her expression was stoic and stern as she looked up, his blue eyes looking at her. I had thought you'd come in a carriage, Lord Naruto. I hope the journey was not too stressful for you. She bowed again slightly. Oh no, fresh air, good company and cool breeze is much better than being cramped in a carriage, don't you think, he said. So you say, Lord Naruto, but the weather, it's not so favorable here. Naruto smirked. We're used to the cold, he said. Of course. Lord Naruto, now, as she motioned to the entrance of the vacant train station. If you follow me, I will take you to Lord Doton, she said. If you don't mind, he said. The snow soldiers pushed the door open as Naruto and Kuyoki enter along with Kushina and Kisame, and the BLA commanders and the others. The place was empty of all other people. The daimyo ordered for no one else to go there. The same could be said about the road that Naruto traveled on, so it wouldn't be stressful for Lord Naruto. The place was kept alone, wide open for him. Kazahana, huh? Said Naruto as he walked beside her going towards the train. She glanced at him from the corner of her eyes, her face neutral. I've heard that name before. I'm an actress, she said. Naruto snapped his finger. Yes. You do theater plays, right? She nodded. I read about you in the newspaper some days ago. It said that you started acting on television recently. Princess Gale or something like that. That is correct, she said. Have you not seen any of my movies? No, I prefer to read, said Naruto. He answered her honestly. I mostly watch movies with the missus from time to time, he said. Kuyoki coughed in her fists, affronted that he hadn't seen any of her few movies, and relief that for a change, she wasn't being fawned over for being a rising star actress. People were already throwing themselves at her feet. Despite their married status, she was already having a growing fan club in the Fire Country. As she asked, what kind of movies do you and the missus watch, Lord Naruto? Horror, thrilling, mystery, anything heart-pumping. Bat smiled a bit under her mask. Romance movies just aren't for us, Lady Kuyoki. Kuyoki sniffed. Yet another thing that the man beside her wiggled out of her cold facade. I don't find it surprising that a man of your gruesome past may not know what romance is. The missus might not even have a say in what she likes or dislikes in your household. Naruto chuckled as he lifted his hand, stopping back as he could feel the rising darkness in all of them as Kushina clenched her fists and Kisame grit his teeth. Kuyoki tipped her chin up as she felt the temperature drop. I was merely voicing an opinion, she said, as Naruto glanced towards Kushina to make sure she didn't say the insult that was on the tip of her tongue that she wanted to say. Well, Lady Kuyoki, that opinion was somewhat offensive. As they stopped in front of a private room in the train, I could say that how Princess Gale is a stereotypical damsel in distress, or how more than half of your appearance on the theater is the act as a princess of sort marrying the most unlikely peasant out of love, despite your parents disagreeing, and is not with the union, but after a while is still end happily ever after, and then the end. I could also make fun of you insulting my household, me and my wife, preference in films, and saying that my gruesome past made me a domineering person is a reflection of how your uncle murdered your father just so he could take the throne, thereby giving you a gruesome past and a pitiful present because you don't have a say in anything. But I didn't say that. As he glanced towards her, did I? Kushina snickered into her hand. As Kisame stifled his laughter, Kuyoki coldly looked at the man. Her father's murder wasn't a closely kept secret. It was one of those things no one wanted to talk about. Because Doton was a powerful daimyo, and the Snow was the first wealthy nation on the continent. It wasn't exactly news to know that Doton was a cold, ruthless, calculating man who wore a pleasant, calm mask. But underneath that, he would slaughter. After all, he killed his own brother. He would even order the assassination of the whole country if he ever knew that you were planning to overthrow him. And Doton probably might have an ulterior motive for arranging the meeting. Kuyoki was a beautiful woman, and many men fall to her words. But Naruto was a completely different person. She should know that Naruto didn't give a rat ass about what she thought about him, his wife, or his country as a whole. She thought her cold words would make Naruto doubt himself and think about his whole country, but he didn't really give a damn about her, as she wanted him to have doubts in his mind. And if he had doubts in his mind going to this meeting, it would probably cause problems. But why did she want that? He was curious about it. Did she want to disable the prominent thing that they came to build? Her uncle, the daimyo, he was definitely not the one that sent her to try and disable the meeting. After all, he lost too much ninjas in the war. He didn't want it to continue. Was she doing this so she can spite her uncle for killing her father? To ruin the first peace continent of the Wealth Nation. Destroy what her uncle was trying to do because of what he took from her. As Naruto was still glancing at her, as he saw the cold, shimmering child inside, who was too weak to avenge her father, but she wanted to do something. As he glanced down towards her hands, he saw the callus on her palm. She recently had been working a weapon. It seems like she has been trying to learn. And an injury, a small injury, that an inexperienced worker of a weapon would sustain. Her left hand didn't have any callus on it, so she was most likely using a single-hand dagger. He then asked a random question, throwing her and her security detail off. Does this room have a TV? No, she said. Too bad. As he pulled out his book. This will have to do for now, he said. She sniffed as she turned her head. This will be your private room, as she pointed, until we reach Light City. 3 BLAK ninjas went inside and swept the place down for bugs and traps. They found none. We will be there in an hour and 30 minutes. Lunch will be here in 10 minutes. Please, make yourself comfortable. Thank you, said Naruto, as she went somewhere else on the train to blow off some steam, probably her own private quarters, her soldiers following her. As the blonde watched them go. Nice girl that one, he said. Kushina scoffed as she entered the room as she sat down. She clearly wanted you to bow to her, uncle. As Kisame stayed right outside the door and the other members spread out. We will take turns. I'll stay in here for the first 45 minutes. As Naruto glanced down towards his novel, as Kushina placed her katana in her waist, as she hummed, as she glanced around, as Naruto's blue eyes looked up. What's up? Well, I was wondering. Yes? Can I sit next to you? She asked. He raised an eyebrow as he looked back down to his book. Sure. As she basically pounced out of her seat and sit right down next to him. She scooted a bit closer, mentally commending herself. As he didn't seem to notice, she scooted closer as he turned another page of his book. She shuffled closer again, as his eyes lingered to the side, before turning back to his book, as her cheeks were now red. Kushina? She blinked. Yes? As he turned towards her, are you feeling alright? You're a little close. You don't like it, she said, as Naruto bookmarked where he was. After him and Sawaki had their first night together, Naruto knew when people was infatuated with him. Amara and Nanako had jumped out when he first spoke to them. He noticed the way they address him, their body language, and their manners when they are around him. There wasn't lust or desires in their eyes, but love, sincere love. He wasn't really sure why though. as he soon after realized Kushina's attitude towards him. Her mother, Tamaki, said that Kushina was a boisterous girl, really loud. She wore her first fancy dress when Naruto came to visit Ozu, as Naruto thought that it was just a childish crush. He didn't want to call it hero worship because that sounded insulting. Most children around her age had that crush for him. He waved it off. It would go away once she grew older. As Kushina became more comfortable around him, as she even got comfortable, bringing out her loudmouth trade and her fascination over food. But her crush, it got even worse. He would have to be literally blind and deaf to not know. When she was 15 and came out as a lesbian, he chose to forget about the crush that she had on him and treat her like he always treated her, and she had still crushed on him. As Naruto resigned himself, since she heard about his stories, she had a deep feeling for him more than the uncle figure. It was something she couldn't get rid of so easily. It wasn't that he didn't want to like her that way, even if she referred to him as uncle, and him referred to her as niece for the past 15 years. He wanted to respect her sexual preference and not push himself on her. Kushina was a good girl. Putting her in a situation where she was uncomfortable was something he didn't want to do. But she needed to come to terms with what she was actually feeling, to put it all out there, and for her to think in herself. Kushina, he said. She jumped as she realized he was giving her his whole attention. Uncle? What's wrong? He said. I don't know, she said, mumbling. As he kept on looking at her, she released a sigh as she took in a deep breath. She released. I love you. He remained silent, as she wasn't done yet. I've always loved you, she said, as she looked down, as she didn't want to look up yet. Ever since my mama told me about you, and how amazing you were. I liked you so much when I was a kid, and I heard the ghost stories. I liked you as a ghost, but then I got to live with you, and you stopped being the ghost. You were just you. You became Uncle Naruto. Believe it, she said. When she get nervous, she had this verbal tick. You became my super cool, super awesome, supportive uncle, and I liked you even more. Her right hand gripped her chest, and she felt a tear dropped onto her knee. Then I started liking you even more. I started having all these complicated feelings. I like, but still, I like you. I think I fell in love with you completely. When you didn't judge me for, I tried my hardest to stop loving you that way, but I can't. She looked up, tears flowing down her cheeks. I can't hold back these feelings for you anymore. I need to tell you how I feel. Believe it, she said. She looked back down rather quickly, regretting everything she just said. You must feel disgusting of me, uncle. As she was afraid to meet his gaze now, as he placed her arm around her, bringing her to a side hug. As she hugged him back. You kept all this bottled up in you, Nanga. Why didn't you tell me sooner, said Naruto. You're married, and auntie as well. I don't want to be a homewrecker. Then what changed, said Naruto. Kushina turned so red, Naruto was afraid that she might explode. And Auntie Sue said I should shoot my shot, she said. As Naruto laughed, that sounded exactly like something his wife would say. She said we could share you. A large sweat drop fall down inside Naruto's face as he laughed. She said that, huh? If you don't mind, can we try and be a couple for this week? Seeing that we're in snow for the week, she said, as she looked up. If you don't like me this way, after the week is over, then we can go back home and forget any of this ever happened. As she cozied up to him, fearing if he said no, she didn't want to get away from the warmth yet. As it felt like her entire heart stopped as she waited for his answer. Alright, let's try it, he said. A wave of joy washed over Kushina. A joy that she couldn't even explain. Her heart felt like it was literally about to jump out of her chest. She felt like thousands of butterflies went down in her stomach, she confessed. And she wasn't turned down. Meanwhile, at the Fire Daimyo's palace, Lady Wakano sipped her tea as she set it back down in the saucer, as she was in a red and a white kimono. As she was sitting on a chair, her two attendants were outside, along with her guards. The gardeners were at work outside, as they were taking care of the bushes in the pleasant, wonderful garden. Mornings like this was her precious time. A fresh cup of green tea and pieces of toast. A maid came up the walkway and bowed. What is it, Wakano said. My lady Wakano, sorry for disturbing you, during your time. But Mr. Minato is here. He seeks your audience. Walking no home as she placed the cup back down in the saucer as she dabbed at her cheeks. Send him in. 2 minutes later, Minato was escorted in by a younger maid. He had his Jonin vest still open. Wakano swept her eyes over the man's form as she snapped her finger as a chair was placed down in front of her tea table. As she flicked her wrist to Minato, Minato sat down and silently looked at her. Is this really how you should present yourself before your daimyo, Namikaze, she said. I'm not in the mood, Wakano, he said. As the woman smirked looking at him. I should have you executed for the way that you're speaking to me, she said. But instead she pushed a tea towards him, a cup of tea, as she sipped at her own. But I'm a merciful mistress, so I should overlook your matters for today. All she got was a nod. You're not your usual self today, my words usually got a snarky response out of you. The truth, said Minato as he looked down at his tea. The real truth. I encountered it, he said. Oh? I would like to see my collection, said Minato. The woman narrowed her eyes towards him as she saw nothing in his eyes. His eyes were empty. The look in your eyes. What are you planning, Namikaze? He looked outside in the garden. I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna do something crazy. Come then, she said. I shall show you to your collection myself. He wasn't acting this way while he was stationed in Chell. Something changed. Is that really okay, said Minato. Are you done with breakfast, he asked. Oh, no need to worry, Namikaze. I too would like to see your vault. As she moved on the table and extended a hand towards him with a smile on her face. As he took the hand, she helped him out of his seat as he left the tea house. Going through your vault has been my favorite pastime activities, Namikaze. As she walked with him, she wondered, what exactly was he planning? What exactly was he gonna do? And his eyes, why did they look so empty? It was like he had no soul in them. It was just completely blank. He was gonna do something, and she wanted to find out what it was. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, for the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, stay in tune for the rest of the what ifs coming your way over on Anime King 3 and Anime King, guys. And yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying, talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.